Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Endeavor Live. This board features good old-fashioned traditional camber, so from contact point to contact point you have that arc of traditional camber. That's going to give you all the load, pop, snap, and drive out of this board. This board is available in 142, 145, 148, 151, 153, 155, 157 wide, 158, 159 wide, 161. I rode this board at Copper Mountain on a day that had overcast skies, you know, little pockets of blue coming through. It was snowing that like grapply Dippin' Dots snow. You had creamy groomers. There was an inch of soggy pow in spots, a little bit of chop and chunder, and I rode it with my Rome Black Label bindings and my K2 Thraxis boots. Flex and stability. This is a middle of the road park board, so the flex is nothing revolutionary. Softer tips, stiffer through the midsection with an abundance of torsional give to it. When it comes to stability, the tips flap and that chatter resonates back underfoot. You get into choppy terrain because you don't have a lot of tip kick. It basically just slams into it and then pushes over it. You feel that resonating back underfoot. This really isn't that damp of a board. It's very lively, so keep your knees bent if you get into rutted out terrain and be prepared to feel everything. So you don't really have much tip kick in this board. You do have camber, so when you load it up and you roll back, you can't really leverage your weight into that tail to get it to spring more, so it's kind of laid back. I mean, the snap's solid, you're gonna get up in the air, but it's not mind-blowing. Like, you have to put a little more work in and be a little more calculated to get back out of it what you want. You're gonna be able to ollie a slow sign? Maybe, if you didn't skip leg days and, you know, you're prepared to put in the work, but by and large, yeah, you can pop off things. Not gonna be mind-blowing. When it comes to jumps, small to medium are really its strong suit. If you're a competent rider, you could probably hit something a little bit larger, but you gotta pick and choose your battles with this thing. As already stated, there isn't like crazy amount of pop, so you're gonna let the lid. So as already stated, there isn't crazy amount of pop with this, so you're gonna let the lip do the work, and it's basically gonna get you up in the air and right to the sweet spot. Are you gonna go deep? Maybe if you have a lot of speed, but otherwise, you know, it's just kind of consistently there. All right, why don't you give this video a thumbs up, and while you're down there, subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the content we have coming out for you. With this having next to no tip kick, you have these immense sweet spots that you can lock into and really play around with. You do not have to worry about this hooking up if you leverage your weight way out because there's just nothing there. So press into the nose, watch it flex, and it'll just hold. And then when you want to get out of it, you have to initiate the pop to get that to engage. You can get sideways. This thing will just get weird. That also happens with jibbing. I mean, it's very easy to just sort of lean a little bit in the nose or on the tail, and it will lock into a press. That camber section doesn't really fight you too much. And when you go sideways, it really cradles around the feature. It's basically just embracing it, going, let's just slide this thing to death. It jibs fairly well. Like I said though, the weird thing is that tip kick shape, it's really good on like straight features, but if you hit something with a kink, it's not got enough of an abruptness to it, so it kind of just hammers into it and then you feel everything, so you're probably going to set it back down unless you know what you're doing. Sometimes I know what I'm doing, sometimes I don't. Sometimes my presses look soggy. On this, and kinked features, not the best. This is where the biggest change on this board happened because they reduced the height of that tip kick in there. It causes the tail to just disengage. It's so mellow that it just basically, when you put all your pressure on your back foot and on the outside to drive it, it just lets go. It doesn't stay gripped at all. If it had a little bit more of an abrupt kick to it, it would hold better. This means that it's better for short, tight, quick carves where you're really ankle steering underfoot. Medium mellow carves, it locks into a point, but if you aggressively start to drive it from the middle back, it will wash out on you, and laying it over, you're like, man, I really wish I had something else. Rider in mind, this is for the park-focused rider that wants a really low tip kick. Someone that might be buttering a whole lot. You might say that they're into the studies of butter foo. They might even run a discount margarine studio. Like what we're doing over here? Want to support us further? Swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. I cannot get over the tip kick on this thing. It's like non-existent. I can't tell if they're trying to make this one of those Japanese butter boards or they wanted it to be more border cross inspired, but it doesn't have the rigidity to be a border cross board at all. I liked the old Live better. It rode so much better. It was more snappy, it was more responsive. This thing, you're just sort of like, why? And I don't know why. Like this just makes no sense to me at all. Comparable boards, the Ride Kink, the Capita Utrafear, and the Rome Artifact. Binding recommendations, the Rome Vice, the Bataleon Blaster Asym, the Union Ultra. This has been my review of the Endeavor Live. Looking for something with a little bit more tip kick? Why don't you check out one of the comparable boards?